OK, we've got a bonus round for you now. We have 2 mystery guests. Their names became well-known this year. Teams, you can ask them as many questions as you want within a minute, and you have to try and deduce who they are and why they were in the news. Ladies and gentlemen, round of applause for our first mystery guest. Hello, sir. Thank you very much indeed for coming in. Now, teams, you have 1 minute to ask this gentleman questions in order to deduce who he is and why he was in the news this year.
We have an unfair advantage, because didn't you audition for Sharon in the early stages of the X Factor?
No.
Is your CND badge a clue to your notoriety?
Yes.
Was it something bad that happened to you in the news?
Would you? I think it was something bad. Would you describe it as bad? I think it was bad.
Yes, I think it was, yeah.
I think it was pretty bad. Despicable is how I would describe it.
Was it unfair?
It was very unfair.
Very unfair, OK.
Have you ever dated Jodie Marsh?
Did it happen in Britain or overseas?
In Britain.
Were you a victim of a crime?
No.
Was it something the state visited upon you? An injustice?
Well, sort of.
You're wearing a blue suit, but would I be right in thinking that blue is not your colour of choice?
Yes.
Are you Pete Best, the original drummer with the Beatles?
I think you've had enough time.
Are you
OK.
anything to do with politics?
Yes.
That's the final question now. Write down who you think this man is and why you think he was in the news. Write down who you think he is and why you think he was in the news.
Oh, yes.
OK, well, let's see what your answers were. Who do you think this man is?
Were you wrongfully thrown in prison?
Well, were you imprisoned at any time?
No.
No. He wasn't imprisoned. What have you got there, Bob?
We put failed to pay November's poll tax.
Poll tax refused Nick.
We have put that we believe him to be Walter Wolfgang, who was unfairly ejected from the Labour Party conference for heckling, I believe, Mr Jack Straw. Would I be right, sir?
That's right.
That is absolutely right. Ladies and gentlemen, Walter Wolfgang. Thank you very much indeed for coming on. Let's just remind ourselves of you in action.
What would you say to Mr Blair if you got a chance?
Well, quite a lot. I mean...
For shouting the word nonsense during a speech by Foreign Secretary Jack Straw, the frail refugee from Nazi Germany was dragged out of the hall by men twice his size.
Ladies and gentlemen, Walter Wolfgang. Thank you so much for coming in, sir. Very good of you.
Thank you.
What a lovely guy.
Jimmy, can I just say, it was quite funny you said, let's just remind ourselves of you in action. Like you'd just been on Celebrity Big Brother or something. Like, here are some of your best bits, mate.
I think it's great that he heckled.
But how could they pull him like that? That's an absolute
It is disgraceful, is what it is.
Really
absolutely
disgraceful.
OK, are you ready for another mystery guest?
Yes, please.
Well, let's bring them out. Round of applause for our mystery guest. Hello there. Lovely to meet you. OK, let the questioning commence. You've got 1 minute.
Does it involve foxes?
No.
Do you write books?
No.
Are you involved in politics in some way?
No. Are you involved in the entertainment industry? No.
Is it to do with sport?
No.
Well, I think in fairness to you, there is a connection to a sort of form of entertainment.
OK, is it something you're famous for doing or being done to?
Neither.
No.
Do you campaign?
No.
No?
Do you have a famous pet?
No.
I think you could almost say you are a form of entertainment.
Christ, what's going on?
OK, the clue, it's something to do with this lady's name.
Your name?
Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
Well, the first bit's right.
Supergirl.
Supermum.
Superduper.
No, go on. Another guess?
Superman.
Soup. You didn't invent
Soup
the
of the
bad
day.
soup he served me at his restaurant. Is it your recipe, the egg in the slime? The soup? No.
Something to do with your name.
Something to do with the name.
Sue.
Your name is Sue.
Are you Sue Ryder of the famous shops? Are you Sue Barker?
It's a namesake thing, and it's to do with one of the big crazes of 2005.
Oh, you're Sudoku!
Sudoku!
Am I right?
Write it down, Rob.
Oh, that's not fair. They would never have got that if I hadn't said it.
Well, if they don't get it now, there'll be a shock. Well, let's have a look at what you've written.
It's tense.
OK, you've all got that right, haven't you?
Yeah.
Well, Sue, Docky... Well, now...
I know how you feel, Sue. You should meet a very good friend of mine, Travel Scrabble.
Ladies and gentlemen, Sue Doku. Thank you very much indeed. Right, and the scores are Sharon and Jonathan have 33 points, way off in the lead. Denise Van Outen and David Mitchell have 25 points. Gordon Ramsay and Rob Brydon have 26 points. Well, we're going to take a break now, as Gordon has promised to teach us some brand new swear words. Back in a bit. Welcome back to the Big Fat Quiz of the Year, and finally we reach the end of 2005. Your questions for November and December are coming up shortly, but first, let me remind you what happened all those days ago. There were riots on the streets of Paris. The French authorities were thrown into turmoil. They didn't know whether to collaborate or surrender. In the end, they used a water cannon to disperse the rioters. Quick, Pierre, if we're not careful, we'll be washed. Gay couples were given permission to legally take one another up the aisle. That'll make a change. I do worry about gay marriage. It will inevitably lead to gay divorce, and that will be bitchy. David Cameron won the Tory leadership by beating off David Davis. They've got their traditions. In Hemel Hempstead, an oil facility exploded. Police have advised people to avoid Hemel Hempstead. Mind you, they were saying that before. So, to quote Gaza at breakfast, it's time for the 6th round. OK, question number 1. I'm not sure if everyone's familiar with the marvellous News in Briefs feature in The Sun.
Yes.
In case you didn't know, page 3 isn't degrading anymore because now they ask the girls to comment on current affairs. Can you guess who Danny, 18 from Coventry, is talking about? There's no denying his abilities. It was a typical gesture of his to resign for the sake of his cabinet colleagues. But in doing so, the government is a far poorer place. Who was Danny, 18 from Coventry, talking about with her top off?
Hey, I like that feature, but my favourite feature is, I don't know if you've seen it, in the Daily Sport. They have a topless lady, a glamour model, review that night's movies. There was a great one once. It was a sexy lady with no clothes on, and she was reviewing 12 Angry Men, and we went, loads of men locked in a room all night, 4, my idea of a good movie. It's like one of the classic courtroom dramas.
OK. And while we're on the subject of The Sun, what made their campaign against domestic violence suddenly seem rather ironic?
Yeah.
OK. Question number 3. What appalling idea did Tony Blair talk George Bush out of, according to a rumour that surfaced this month?
Surely there's quite a long list of them, though, I imagine. I should imagine Bush is always coming up with weird rumours, isn't he? I bet he's going, I know, let's spend some money developing a fish with 3 eyes. I bet he, just treats it like a toy box. Let's make a soup out of spinach and an egg, see if anyone's stupid enough to... silly ideas he would come up with on a regular basis that no sane person would consider.
He was the only person that night.
You liar.
Not very pleasant.
No, a few other people.
I think there should be...
But they're all scared of you. They're scared of you. That's the thing. And most of your food is rubbish, but everyone's scared to tell you because you're scary. I'm joking. He's one of the best chefs in the country.
Oh, fucking hell. But I mean, that's like saying that Jonathan Ross has a cool, appealing dress code.
Thank you.
It's out there. It's wacky. It's obscure. It's bizarre. It looks like a fucking lollipop.
With an egg in the middle. Nothing.
OK. Disability groups were up in arms about the name given to a new wheelchair launched by a US company. What was its horribly tasteless name?
It was something horrible.
I vaguely remember this story.
It's an incredible... I mean, it's unbelievable as a name for a wheelchair.
Yes, it was something like that.
It's that horrible. Whatever you're thinking, it's that horrible. Actually, it might not be as horrible as what you're thinking. OK. Gary Glitter was arrested by the Vietnamese authorities. What is the maximum penalty he might face?
Death, the bastard. Should cut his ghoulies off as well.
Well, only if Wales beat England. On now to the answers for November and December. Who was page 3 lovely Danny talking about? Gordon, what do you think?
Blunkett.
You're absolutely right. David Blunkett.
Excellent.
Yeah. You all got that right. Congratulations. Well done, you.
Yeah. OK. It just goes to prove that Danny knows her stuff. Because we all got it and we all agree with her. So how wrong of us to judge her just because she chose not to wear a shirt in public. I think more young women should go around without shirts and earn their respect in that manner.
OK, I asked you why the Sun's anti-domestic violence campaign suddenly seemed rather ironic. What have you got?
Rebecca Wade, she's the editor, is that right, of the Sun?
And then she hit Ross Kemp.
Well, that's the correct answer. This was the story, anyway, that Rebecca Wade hit Ross Kemp, allegedly. The charges were, of course, dropped. I asked you, what did Tony Blair allegedly have to talk Bush out of? What did you put?
I remember this. It was because recently, of course, it was he wanted to bomb Al Jazeera, the news source that comes out of the...
You are absolutely right. Al Jazeera are, of course, based in Qatar, and they're an ally of the US, so wouldn't have been a brilliant idea. You got that absolutely right.
That's what we thought.
And Gordon Ramsay and Rob Brydon went for the other conversation that we're not privy to.
Yes, this was on a note passed to Condoleezza Rice.
Bombay bicycle.
Not many people know about it, but he was quite intent on bombing Iran.
No, Gordon, didn't Tony Blair come for his birthday to your restaurant?
Yes, that's right, yeah. Yeah, in the kitchen. Had an amazing time.
I would have, because you've got an actual little table in the kitchen, haven't you?
Yeah, no, like a chef table. And they had the most amazing time, but the weird scenario, of course, was the bodyguards outside. Both of them were vegetarians.
I bet they got nothing.
They got absolutely fuck all.
Right. The name of the wheelchair that caused so much controversy.
We guessed.
We guessed. That was really offensive.
Is it Spasmobile?
Well, you may laugh. It's not the Spasmobile. What did you have, Jonathan?
It was either something like that. We put down Cripple Cart or the Mongimobile or Spazzy, because it was something like that. It was one of those horrible things you think, how can they say something like that? But that's what they put. It was something like Cripple Cart.
Gordon, what did you go for?
Cripple Mobile.
Cripple Mobile, like the Batmobile.
The Cripple Mobile.
Cripple Mobile is a new phone service, though.
Well, the actual answer, I mean, unbelievably, I think the actual answer is they called it the Spaz.
Oh, well, we're pretty close. It's Spasmobile.
David and Denise have got to get a point for the Spasmobile.
You.
And you don't get anything for your... What was your guess again, Gordon? Oh, the Cripple-mobile, yes. Now, you may think that's as bad as it gets, but let me read you a small section from the press release. And it won't cost you an arm and a leg. OK, and finally, what is the maximum penalty Gary Glitter might face?
Death. Firing squad.
Firing squad is technically the exact right answer. Shot to death, yes.
Shot to death.
4 points on his licence.
I'll tell you what, though, if they do shoot him, what a great bit of telly.
Fabulous.
Just saying, I'd watch.
God, I'd watch too, and stick a hot poker down the end of his willy.
I don't think you can do that if you press the red button.
If you want to add to his torment, go interactive now.
OK, it's time for our final bonus round.